So, if you don't know who Pattie Gonia is a drag queen. Pattie Gonia. Uh, Pattie Gonia is a drag queen and is an LGBTQ and environmental activist. And for years now has had this drag name of Pattie Gonia. And it's not been an issue with the company Patagonia until this week.
It's Pattie Gonia. Today I'm breaking my silence about the lawsuit that the multi-billion-dollar corporation Patagonia has filed against me, a drag queen and climate activist, for trademark infringement.
Isn't the issue about our merch? I think what this is about this is about fair use, copyright, parody, etc. It's my understanding that Patagonia has not sold merch that has Patagonia or is using the label of Patagonia, but is Patagonia. I think a lot of it was fan art that then Patagonia would give out as stickers. I don't think that Patagonia herself has actually used Patagonia, the company, for commercial purposes.
Patagonia told the media they're only suing me for $1. What they're actually trying to do is to take away my name permanently.
And the reason that they're doing this is because I think the company is looking at this as, if we don't do something here, then we're opening ourselves up to more copyright infringements from others who then will see our lack of doing something here and then take advantage of it.
Threaten me with more than $1 million in legal fees.
But also, I'm wondering, because Patagonia, I think, has had the Patagonia name for like 8 years, but the timing feels also real sus, is what I will say. The timing feels sus. And I don't just mean the timing being that we have Pride Month next month, but let's be clear, this is trademark, not copyright. The distinction is important. Yes, trademark, not copyright. So it does, and I think a lot of people are feeling this as well. It does feel suspect that this major company is now taking steps to distance themselves from this very prominent and popular drag activist who's also an environmental activist. And people are calling out Patagonia's, their company mission and how that actually aligns with Patagonia. And so there's questions around why they are now trying to, and that's where people are getting the like, oh, well, she's selling merch. This is
not a brand conflict.
That's why.
This is a corporation trying to erase an activist. And this is how corporations bully individuals who cannot match their resources. Because this would take away not only my activism and my career, but also the livelihoods of the team I employ. This is a betrayal of Patagonia's core mission, because if they're in business to save the home planet, why are they suing a climate activist? Over the last 4 months since the lawsuit was filed, I've stayed silent, courteous, and worked every channel I could to resolve this without going to court. But in the end, I had two choices: the erasure of my name, my advocacy, my community, and everyone I employ, or to fight for myself and to fight for us. So I am fighting, and I'm inviting you to join me in a simple call to action. Patagonia, drop the lawsuit. And I want to tell you how this story started, because it didn't start with a lawsuit. It started in 2018 when I put on a pair of high heels on a backpacking trip and created my drag persona, Pattie Gonia, named after a region in South America called Patagonia, a name that predates both me and the clothing brand by 500 years.
It's because she gave out a sticker pack to people who donated for conservation. The sticker was the Patagonia logo, but with Pattie Gonia, it was not really merch. It was not advertised ahead of time. It was a surprise. I got the sticker pack. So this suit has been filed. And the company is saying they took action after Win Wiley, who's Pattie Gonia, after Wiley had filed, let me see here. After Wiley had filed a trademark application in September to use the brand Patagonia to sell clothing and promote environmental activism, which it claims would irreparably harm its brand. So this is where it gets tricky because Patagonia, the drag queen, of course you run into problems if you're using Patagonia's brand, right? Like very clearly using their brand. But Patagonia's argument is Patagonia is a mountainous region in South America. It is not Patagonia, the company did not create Patagonia. They base their company off of an already existing mountainous region in South America. So Patagonia, the drag queen's argument is that this is my brand as a climate activist drag queen, and I should get to trademark my brand, Patagonia. And I understand that as long as I'm not selling merch that is directly, would be considered like ripped from the company Patagonia, then it shouldn't be a problem. I'm seeing a lot of chatters get things confused. So this is why trademark versus copyright is important. Yeah, that was my bad. I accidentally said copyright. You can trademark a name, but it only applies if your primary business is the same. It's not stealing from the mountains. It's saying another outerwear company can't use the same name without confusing consumers. And so Patagonia, the company, is saying, look, Patagonia is not based off of the mountain range. Patagonia is based off of Patagonia, which we own. Like Patagonia, the clothing, the outdoor clothing brand.
And since 2018, I've built a community of more than 3 million people, a nonprofit teaching allyship in the outdoors, hired more than 600 artists and advocates, toured drag shows nationwide about climate solutions, and together we've raised more than $3.7 million for nonprofits. So here's the part that made my jaw hit the floor. Patagonia, a multi-billion-dollar corporation, went to federal court in January to say that I am causing irreparable harm to their brand by doing, and I quote, motivational speaking services in support of environmental sustainability and organizing, arranging, and conducting trail and hiking events. Let's talk about that irreparable harm.
And I guess, look, I'm obviously not a lawyer, and I am specifically not a trademark lawyer, but I guess they have to prove here that Patagonia, the drag queen, based her entire brand off of Patagonia, the company, in order to say it. So they have to prove that in order to say that Patagonia is violating Patagonia's trademark.
Because there's 3 things you need to know. First, the claims of trademark infringement. I have never used their logo, font, or anything from their brand on our merch website. Instead, the lawsuit cherry picks a few examples of playful parody and fan art and tries to spin those into some kind of vast use of their logo. Drag is built on parody, puns, and jokes, but I'm willing to never parody their logo ever again, aka never give them free PR ever again. 2, let's talk about the agreement or the understanding that people are saying I broke.
The Patagonia sticker copies their font. Yes, but the distinction here is that Patagonia did not create that and for commercial purposes. So AKA did not create a sticker that then she sold for profit that is the Patagonia logo. So parody law is a thing, but also parody is not a total shield in trademark law. So there are absolutely instances when the argument of parity usage works, but it's not. I think I do think some people think it is more of a legal shield than it is, where it's an argument, but you're still going to court. Like, it's not going to protect you from being sued. So Patagonia did not make those stickers. That was something a fan made, and they were given out to people who had donated money.
There was no agreement. In 2022, when I was collaborating with a third party, Patagonia asked me to follow certain terms, and I did. That wasn't a broad agreement about my future. And 3, my trademark application. I filed my trademark application not to compete with a multi-billion-dollar corporation, but because of what happened to a drag queen named Lexi Love, whose name was taken from her by a third party after RuPaul's Drag Race. Within weeks, her bookings were canceled, music pulled, social media gone. I filed to make sure that that never happened to me, not because of Patagonia, because of anyone. And now let's talk timing. Isn't it interesting that Patagonia chose this exact moment in the height of anti-LGBTQ politics and attacks on the environment to sue me? They've known about me for 8 years, and the impact of this timing right now is serious and it's real. And I think they looked at this political moment and thought they could pull this off without pushback. But if Patagonia wants to celebrate Pride Month this year by taking a queer climate activist to federal court, then I am here to fight for myself, and I am here to fight for us.
Also, Patagonia is saying that this is that Patagonia selling clothing to promote environmental activism would irreparably harm its brand. What does that mean? What do you mean it'll irreparably harm your brand? Because their brand is, well, Patagonia mission statement. Here's on Patagonia's website. One component of their mission statement, environmentalism. Protect our home planet. We're all part of nature, and every decision we make is in the context of the environmental crisis challenging humanity. We work to reduce our impact, share solutions, and embrace regenerative practices. We partner with grassroots organizations and frontline communities to restore lands, air, and waters to a state of health, to arrest our addiction to fossil fuels, and to address the deep connections between environmental destruction and social justice. So, Pattie Gonia raised $4 million for nonprofits because of her environmental activism. That, to me, aligns with Patagonia's mission statement here. Be just, equitable, and anti-racist as a company in our community. We embrace the work necessary to create equity for historically marginalized people and reorder the priorities of an economic system that values short-term expansion over human well-being and thriving communities. We acknowledge painful histories, confront biases, change our policies, hold each other accountable. We aspire to be a company where people from all backgrounds, identities, and experience have the power to contribute and lead.
So Patagonia leadership, I want to speak directly to you. In 2022, your founder, Yvonne Chouinard, gave...
There's no shot in hell the average Patagonia customer is confusing it with Patty merch. I agree. I'm sorry. I don't think that people who are fans of Patagonia are like, whoa, I'm getting this confused with Patagonia, the clothing company. Now, obviously, that's not necessarily an argument in a court of law, but it just seems so ridiculous.
Gave the company away to the planet.
The layman's argument is like,
crisis,
that seems ridiculous.
Transferring control into what's called a purpose trust. So I want to ask the people currently running the company a genuine question. Is this what he had in mind? Is spending the resources of that trust on lawyers and federal court filings to erase a climate activist saving the home planet? Is this what he and his children, who now sit in leadership positions on the board and the Purpose Trust, believe they built? And you know, Yvonne Chouinard said something that I think his current leadership needs to hear loud and clear right now. And I quote, "You are what you do, not what you say you are." That's not my quote. That's his. And if this lawsuit is what saving the planet looks like to Patagonia's current leadership, then one of us has profoundly misunderstood the assignment, and it is not me. And to my community, here's what I need from you right now. 1, join me in telling Patagonia, drop the lawsuit. Make your voice heard everywhere Patagonia is. And let me be very clear, do so in a classy, respectful, and peaceful way. 2, do not take this out on Patagonia store employees. They didn't choose this. It's squarely on the shoulders of their corporate leaders who have failed their employees and their company's core values. And in fact, to every Patagonia employee watching this, you've built something that people believed in. I hope you will use your voice inside your organization right now. And 3, this is just part 1 to the story. What I have not told you yet is far bigger than what I have, so stay tuned. So to close this out, I want to go a bit off script because I want to admit something I probably shouldn't say. I'm afraid and I'm frustrated. This is so much wasted time and money that could be spent fighting for the planet, and instead, Patagonia is taking me to court when I've offered them everything I could to avoid this. They chose this, not me. And while I don't know what will happen from here, I do know that they have more money and more lawyers, and they will use their full force, especially after this video. Pattie Gonia is one of the first things in my life that I am genuinely, deeply proud of. And the idea that this could all be taken away from me is my worst case scenario. Because if you've ever created something that mattered to you, a name, a community, a version of yourself that finally felt real, then I think you know what that fear feels like. My name is Pattie Gonia. I chose it, I've built it, I've earned it, and I am not going anywhere. Patagonia, drop the lawsuit.
Rotisserie Chicken, thank you for the 4 months. Kismet, thank you for the 3 months. Okay, let me take a look at this right here. From harmony to hostility, because it's not the first time that Pattie Gonia and Patagonia have had to converse. First ran into conflict with Patagonia in 2022 during a partnership with Hydro Flask, a manufacturer of water bottles popular with outdoor enthusiasts. Hydro Flask contacted Patagonia to iron out any potential issues with trademark infringement. Wiley agreed not to use Pattie Gonia branded products or using fonts or designs that copy or are substantially similar to Patagonia's logos, the lawsuit said. However, Wiley argues that the details of that agreement were only for the Hydro Flask partnership, not a long-standing agreement. I have never used their logo, font, or anything from their brand on our merch website. Instead, the lawsuit cherry picks a few examples of playful parody and fan art and tries to spin those into some kind of vast use of their logo. Drag is built on parody, puns, and jokes, but I'm willing to never parody their logo ever again, aka never give them free PR ever again. Wiley filed to trademark Pattie Gonia in September 25 in an effort to protect the stage name and seek ownership of a Pattie Gonia trademark to commercialize products, endorsements, marketing campaigns, and advocacy, according to lawsuit filings. Patagonia said in a January news release that the company is not against Pattie Gonia's creative expression, but takes issue with Wiley trademarking the name to sell merchandise. So again, this argument, I think, boils down to Patagonia saying that Pattie Gonia's whole brand is based on Patagonia, the company. Pattie Gonia is saying, no, my brand, the parodic element of my name, Pattie Gonia, is the mountainous region in South America, which you all got your name from, because Patagonia was initially called Chouinard Equipment after Patagonia's founder, Yvon Chouinard. But then Chouinard went on a trip to Patagonia with his best friend, who is the owner of North Face, which is a rival company. And he said it was such a transformative trip that he then changed his company's name to Patagonia. We want Pattie to have a long and successful career and make progress on issues that matter, but in a way that respects Patagonia's intellectual property and ability to sell our brand, or ability to use our brand to sell products and advocate for the environment. And I guess too, they'll have to argue that Pattie Gonia's trademarking her name to sell merchandise is going to harm Patagonia's IP and harm their brand, which how? That's my question. In the video, Wiley said that the name Patagonia does not come from the company Patagonia, but from Patagonia, a region and renowned outdoor travel destination in Argentina and Chile. The company also takes its name from the region. There were multiple theories about how the region was named. Some believe the region was named due to 16th century Spanish explorers who called the indigenous Tehuelche people Patagones. Others say it's named after a medieval monster named Patagon. Alexandra Roberts, a law professor specializing in trademark, advertising, and intellectual property at Northeastern University, said that the distinction is a key reason she doesn't believe Patagonia would face an uphill battle if the case were to go to court. Pattie Gonia says she was inspired by the Patagonia region and her stage name is a reference to that, and her merchandise is tied to her persona and her kind of personal brand and her activism. So to me, because there's that kind of geographic descriptive resonance and because the uses are pretty different, I am not as persuaded as a lot of people seem to be that Patagonia has some kind of slam dunk case. That's what I'm saying as well. Because what Patagonia has to prove is that Pattie Gonia based her drag persona off of the company and not the Patagonia region. And they do not have ownership of environmental activism. So the commonalities between Patagonia, the company, and Pattie Gonia, the drag queen, that to me is not something that is going to be easily proven as stealing IP and disrupting Patagonia's trademark rights. Now, maybe you don't believe that Pattie Gonia actually based her persona on the region and was like, ooh, I love the environment. What if I name myself whatever, because I'm going to side with Pattie Gonia here. Pattie Gonia says that her name, and I have seen people on Twitter trying to be like, oh, she's so disingenuous. I'm like, you know what? I'm going with what she says. She says that she named herself after the mountainous region, Patagonia. Then that's what happened. Mark McKenna, professor of law at the UCLA Institute of Technology, Law and Policy, said that while the company may have basic legal standing, the likelihood of a consumer getting confused between the two brands would be slim. Exactly. Especially since the merchandise is directly connected to the Patagonia persona that the company has not taken issue with. If people who are buying that merchandise know who the performer is, then it seems to me like the same reason that they wouldn't be confused about the performance would also translate to the merchandise. And also, common sense. As we said, who is confusing Patagonia, the clothing company, with Pattie Gonia, the drag queen? I'm sorry. I just don't believe that. I just don't believe that that's a real confusion. Argentinian here. We give her the pass. Wiley's video, which has been viewed 3 million times on TikTok and has surpassed 306,000 likes on Instagram, sparked widespread conversation on social media. Leah Thomas, who founded Intersectional Environmentalist, a climate justice media platform, said the brand has missed out on an opportunity to collaborate.
Are like, a play on words, whether it's a place, a person, a celebrity, etc. And I think a good example of this is like Jan Sports brand.
What the fuck? That is not what I wanted. Wait. What?
So there was a drag queen.
Okay. Oh my God. What the hell? Oh my God. Sorry.
The Patagonia versus Pattie Gonia, the drag queen situation, I think it's one thing to be ignorant and it's another thing to stay ignorant. So a lot of brands have no idea about drag culture, or that most drag names are like, a play on words, whether it's a place, a person, a celebrity, etc. And I think a good example of this is like Jan Sport, the brand. So there was a drag queen called Jan Sport. Jan changed their name to Jan a little bit to avoid any like copyright trademark issues. But then in 2024, Jan Sport actually said, maybe this is an opportunity to reach new audiences. Maybe this is an opportunity to uplift an artist, and decided to partner with Jan Sport. And then Jan Sport was actually able to restore her original drag name and have a collection with Jan Sport that I think is probably
and very smart.
Well. So again, maybe the brand initially didn't really know and was maybe ignorant, but then they got hip because they investigated, they had cultural competencies. Someone on their marketing team was like, oh, this is actually an opportunity for us. And when it comes to Patagonia,
that person was smart.
When you have a drag queen, an outdoor drag queen at that, that's raised over $3 million for environmental organizations. And has worked with like almost every other outdoor brand. And then you're Patagonia, and you also raise millions of dollars for environmental organizations.
I'm gonna finish this.
If A plus B equals C, if 1 plus 1 equals 2, this is not adding up. Why would you not work together? Who is in your PR team? Who's on your marketing team? Who's advising you on cultural competency and things like that? Maybe it's time to investigate, because suing a drag queen, unless you're trying to appeal to a community that typically doesn't really invest in environmental activism, probably isn't going to be a good look. And saying that, oh, we had no other choice, really?
Yeah.
Because then we have to talk about the
marketing idea, Pattie Gonia and Patagonia.
Elephant in the room, that your brand and your logo is a literal place.
Like, imagine how cool it would be for Patagonia to link up with Pattie Gonia as she does one of, as she does one of her, like, traveling across the country in drag to raise money for environmental causes. This is the company that's saying, as of now, Earth is our only shareholder. So this would be super cool for them to do something like that, and I believe would work in their favor.
A literal place with people of color and indigenous people. Then we got to talk about that elephant in the room. Like, are you going to sue them if somebody in Patagonia makes a sticker that says Patagonia with their own mountain range? Are you going to sue them? You have no choice but to sue them. Should they sue you? Like, it's just a can of worms that doesn't need to be opened.
Thank you for the 5 months. Who's in your PR team? Who's on your marketing team? Who's advising you on cultural competency and things like that? Maybe it's time to investigate, because suing a drag queen, unless you're trying to appeal to a community that typically doesn't really invest in environmental activism, isn't going to be a good look. And okay, let's set everything else aside. Say that Patagonia is so clearly, the case is so clearly in favor of Patagonia. It is still terrible optics. It is a horrible look for a company that prides itself on environmental activism and social justice. So obviously the company is thinking with company brain where, well, we have to stop this so that we can't, this doesn't open the door for anyone else to do trademark violations. But that is going to, it's pissing off their customers. Yes, a lot of queer people wear Patagonia. Come on. Lesbians love Patagonia pullovers and Birkenstocks and driving in their Subarus. Patagonia has a lot of queer consumers. Lesbians love Patagonia. It's true. Portland, Patagonia store, your days are numbered. But Polly for President, a drag queen who works in media and marketing, said drag queens have to be careful when including copyrighted phrases in their branding. Polly pointed to Trixie Mattel, another popular drag queen, as an example who does not mention the brand name Mattel in any of her registered trademarks. Okay, but again, what Pattie Gonia has going for her is Patagonia is a mountainous region, and that is what I'm Patagonia, I consume. That is what the company has said not Hassett, sorry. That is what the company took their name from. And it's also not spelled Patagonia. Like Mattel is spelled Mattel. If you are a drag performer and you want to name yourself after a parody of something, you should really go into the US if you're in the US trademark database and make sure that you're not naming yourself after something that's going to run you into issues. It requires a little bit of research and creativity, but it's in your own best interest to sort of steer clear away from other brands and create clear distinction. I just typed it into Wiki and the company came up fourth. It was the Land, Drag Queen, Rock, and the company. Maybe that's what they're pissed about, though. They're like, Pattie Gonia is surpassing us in cultural relevancy. In the TikTok video, Wiley called on viewers to ask Patagonia in a classy, respectful, and peaceful way to drop the lawsuit. Wiley said the company is attempting to use its extensive funding and resources in a bullying way in a political environment where 529 anti-LGBTQ bills have seen movement in the United States in 2026. Because here's the thing. If Pattie decides, and it seems as if that's what she's decided, to meet Patagonia's legal challenge, it is going to cost her a lot of money. And she is a drag performer going up against $1 billion company. So the power imbalance is huge, which is why most of the time individuals, so people in Pattie's situation, they have to capitulate. They have to fold. Apparently she did an ad with North Face for Pride like 4 years ago. I wonder if this is an issue for Patagonia. I don't think so, because the two guys are friends. Chouinard, who started what then became Patagonia, and Doug Tompkins, who's the founder of North Face, they are best. They're not just friends, they're best friends.
Nature lets you be who you are.
I don't think that...
Even gay. Hi! Ladies and gentlemen, you are cordially invited to the Summer of Pride with my friends at the North Face. We're traveling all the gay across America, and everyone's invited. That
This
means
is so
you,
awesome.
and you,
Hello.
and you.
Wow.
Not you, though. You're too cute. Okay, just kidding. You can come. Put on your boots and come out. Side with us. See you there, besties. Don't you think this is all a little intense? I mean, look at you. You're in a literal tent right now. But no, this event will not be intense. Everyone is invited. Everyone is welcome. It's going to be so fun.
It's camp, baby. It's camp. Can we watch Pattie Gonia's TED Talk a couple of years ago? I think it's relevant to people feeling doom and gloom. Pattie is amazing. Okay, if you don't know Pattie is so awesome. And last year, Pattie raised $1 million hiking 100 miles in full drag. So she went from Point Reyes National Seashore to San Francisco. It was very iconic. Pattie also mogged the shit out of Pete Hegseth. Pattie is an icon. And Pattie has done a lot of great work in the world of environmental activism, raising money, educating people. So it's also, the whole thing feels so, So,
Hi, everybody. My name is Pattie Gonia, and I am a drag queen. But I am not the only person here in drag today. You are in drag, too. Yes, you are in TED drag. Yeah, I see you with your spunky business casual, with your glasses and tote bags that say, I absolutely donate to public radio. Uh-huh. Oh my gosh, I even see that some of you are wearing my merch. Yes, Patagonia vests are indeed very TED drag.
You can't ask a drag queen to give a TED Talk and not roast y'all a little. But enough about you. How about me and my drag? Can we get a little commotion for the dress? Thank you. Thank you, thank you. It is made of upcycled and thrifted shower curtains and pink flamingo pool floaties because life in plastic, it's not fantastic.
Patagonia's latest post on IG got community noted for suing Pattie Gonia. People are livid because Pattie is a very beloved icon. And like I said, even if this were, clearly Pattie Gonia had violated Patagonia's trademark and IP, it is the optics that are quite fucking terrible.
And climate change is a drag. You see what I did there? But drag is about far more than what we wear to fit in or stand out. Drag holds something more universal and more powerful for all of us. Because drag is an invitation to build new futures through creativity and diversity and joy. And the combination of these things, drag and climate, they seem ridiculous, right? Well, I thought so too. But then 6 years ago, on a backpacking trip in the middle of my quarter-life crisis, lost in the forest, I put on a pair of 6-inch high-heel boots and strutted the trails
As you do.
for the first time as Pattie Gonia. Thank you so much. My ankles hurt. But if you would have told me then that 6 years later, I would have a community of more than 1 million outdoor and climate lovers.
Patagonia does so much greenwashing, so this absolutely does not shock me at all. They use same factories overseas as Primark and bought carbon offsets. It's a lot of greenwashing. They also have a destroy policy at end of season.
And I'd be getting thousands of queer people outside every year to connect to this planet, I would have told you that you are crazy. But here we are. Drag took me in the middle of my flop era and showed me how I could envision a new future. And then
I mean, look, I'm going to keep it a buck. When you are a $1 billion+ company, there is simply no world where you are not, to some effect, participating in washing, right? Whether greenwashing, whatever specific kind of washing. It's you're a company that's valued at, in Patagonia's case, $3 billion. So yeah, there are going to be deviations from what they have as listed as their mission statement.
live into it. And guess what else is going through a flop era and needs to envision a new future and then live into it?
Patagonia.
Anybody? The Earth, yes. Earth girl, you are in your flop era. And the very thing that I think might get Earth out of this flop era, the art form of drag. So, have I piqued your interest? Would you like to hear and learn what the climate movement might learn from the art form of drag? Would you? That is the spirit, my nerds. Okay, class, let's start here. People often think that as drag performers, we are hiding who we are. But babe, the one time I can't hide is when I look like this. Drag doesn't hide who we are. Drag reveals who we are, and drag welcomes our diversity. And more than that, drag has given me a community of people that I feel safe enough around to be my whole self, and that is where the magic happens. That's where I can bring my creativity and everything that I am to the table. Now look, am I suggesting that you put on as much makeup as me? No, you could never. But
Drag has nothing to do with climate preservation. Are you listening to this TED Talk?
I am saying that our creativity is critical in this climate dilemma. And I'm also saying that diversity isn't a hindrance to this work, it's the very key to our best solutions. I will never forget, right after Pattie was born, when I met a very famous environmentalist who said to me that I should just leave all the gay stuff and high heels at the door and get to work for climate. Well, thank you so much, sir, because 6 years later, all that gay stuff and high heels has raised $2.5 million for climate action.
Are you the sir, Chatter, who said this to Pattie Gonia? Get those
you so
gay
much.
heels out of my
Toss,
climate.
toss. And y'all,
Sir?
I want to be real with you. There are so many people right now in this climate movement who felt like I did, who don't feel like they can be themselves and therefore are holding back their best ideas. And I want a climate movement rooted in fertile soil that supports all of our growth. And as my mentor, Jose Gonzalez, loves to ask, who here has heard the phrase, wow, this team is operating like a well-oiled machine? Anybody? Okay, so all of us. What if instead I said, wow, this group is thriving like a well-nurtured meadow? How different does that feel? Yeah, ooh, it's different. Maybe that's because we're not apart from nature. We are nature. And we are a meadow, not a machine. And a meadow knows that its diversity is its strength. Every single piece of the meadow supports the collective whole. Okay, class, we are doing great. Little check-in, thumbs up in the audience. We feeling good? Okay, if you're ready for a little...
How many trees has this drag planted? Somehow you found a way to turn the word drag into a slur with the way that you just said that there. Like, you very clearly do not have any respect for Patagonia, for drag queens, for queer culture. How many trees has this drag planted? How many fucking trees have you planted, you miserable fuck? Have you raised millions of dollars for the climate? What the fuck are you doing besides picking your ass and talking about this drag? Like, just take a second. Take a second and realize you're being a piece of shit. You are. You're being a piece of shit. Why do you feel the need to behave this way? What is it about you that's so insecure? Because that's what it's about. It's your insecurities. It's you acting weird here because it's a problem with you. Girl, their name is Woo-Wah Player. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but I do know that this chatter needs to get their shit together. Because if you're finding fault with a drag queen who is doing environmental activism, who's raising millions of dollars for nonprofits dedicated to trying to do what they can to save this planet, because God knows these corporations, the U.S. military, these billionaires, they are destroying it. And until we eliminate them, then this climate is being destroyed in front of our very eyes. They probably don't even give a fuck about the environment. And notice they just disappeared. Notice they disappeared. So I'm just going to say one more time, chatter, that this is a you problem. And you're being weird and homophobic because you are an insecure little person. So go work on that. They fully disappeared. Maybe that woke them up and they're like, whoa, what have I been doing with my life? What have I been doing with my life? Maybe.
history
Probably
lesson?
not.
Or should
Probably not. They probably just ran to Asmongold's stream.
I say herstory? Let me hear you say, yes, mommy.
Also, environmentalism does not equal planting trees. That person does not care about the environment.
Ted, you're being silly today. I like it. Since the birth of the queer rights movement, drag performers and trans people have always been on the forefront of organizing.
They don't follow
and
Asmon. Well, that's
protesting
one
and community
win.
building. When queer people were beaten in their homes, put in jail just for existing, when we had the statistics and the facts on the millions of queer people dying of AIDS, yet no one was joining our fight, drag performers turned pain into joy.
Also, that's the type of chatter that I say what I say and ban them. And maybe they will go, wow, I'm a real piece of shit. Wow, I was definitely doing weird, insecure projection onto this person who is not my enemy. And maybe they will then fill out an unban request that I will then read in 2 years from now. And they will have seen the error of their ways. And also, maybe not.
And in doing so, welcomed millions more people to fight with us. Because the problem in the climate movement isn't just the abundance of carbon, it is the lack of joy. The scientific facts, the doom and gloom, they scare people, they wake them up. But joy is what will get people out of bed every day to take more action. And if there's one thing that I have learned from the
In
art
2 to
form of
6
drag,
business years.
it's that you can take fighting for something seriously without taking yourself too seriously. Joy is a serious way to take action. Joy is strategic because joy inspires momentum, and joy is an inside job. So what can we do to create joy? We can get outside and encourage other people to come outside with us and fall in love with nature because we fight for what we love. In other words, if you feel dead inside, get the hell outside.
Touch grass.
We can also connect people in this movement because we all know that silos suck and there is joy in collaboration and so many emails. You're laughing because it's true. And we can also celebrate climate movement. We have to party because celebrating and acknowledging all the work that we have done will inspire the next steps of action. Joy provides an unbelievable opportunity to make the climate movement irresistible. Do not underestimate the power of joy. We deserve more than doom and gloom because this is the only planet with a Beyonce on it.
We couldn't get Beyonce to sign the image release form, so this will have
Facts
to
are
do.
facts, Ted. So class, at the end of the day, what I am saying, what drag can teach us is that creativity and diversity
We
and
technically
joy
don't know that for sure.
are
That's
tools
true.
to build the best climate movement we can. And let's not forget, let me pull this little thing out, that climate change is not a drag. There, that's better. Thank you so much, my nerds.
Yeah, so that is Pattie Gonia, and that is the Patagonia versus Pattie Gonia suit that is currently happening, unless Patagonia changes their mind based on the backlash that they are surely seeing. Surely they are seeing this.